Namaste, good evening. What a lovely evening here in Chandigarh, and I believe the same is the case with many parts of the country and perhaps the world. Even though COVID is on its rampage, it's going down in certain places. But we at Yoga Scholars PGI Chandigarh, this is a northwestern city, about 220 kilometers northwest of New Delhi. We are continuing with our educational series directed towards understanding the inner layers of mind and body. And we've had in 140-45 days a good treat, a good feast of knowledge databases being shared by spiritual masters, physicians, Ayush practitioners, scientists, bringing the data, the evidence to the fore. And we've been discussing this. A lot of people gave us feedback that uh, there are there is diversity, and those who had some knowledge could unify the various principles and techniques that were discussed here. But there was a urge to consolidate these efforts, to put them together as a one consistent and a long drawn kind of a workshop. So we thought it fit to invite one of our leading physicians and spiritual leader, I would say, the person who understands the biopsychological dynamics, Dr. Pradeep Kumar, who is well known to you, Mr. Jivasu, Jivasu Ji, as he is fondly known, runs the naturality movement. He is an MD pediatrician. He has agreed to take this workshop for next 5 days. So be here with us for 5 days. I really request and I urge you, if you need to understand these efforts we've been making in last few days, and if you want to consolidate this, please be with us 6 o'clock to 6:30 Indian Standard Time, and 8:30 in the Eastern Standard Time in the Northern America, including Canada. So you will get a good treat of 5 days of what we have been basically discussing in last 140-45 days. So Yoga Scholars PGMed, in its effort to integrate the different systems of medicine for the best of the participants' health, it now brings it to you an opportunity to understand the deeper layers of your own self, going beyond the physical realms of the body. So the naturality workshop, this that we are starting today, comprises the unique balanced approach of the integrated knowledge of neuroscience, psychology, biomedicine, and ancient wisdom practices. This workshop is designed to help the participants understand the unique nature of mind and body and the underlying reality of visible and invisible forces that influence us. And this allows us the access to peak intelligence, the highest state of energy and consciousness, and which is presumably the door to peak health and spirituality. So there is this term peak health and peak spirituality. So I challenge you and I invite you to this beautiful workshop where you can probably experience it and challenge yourself with this. The workshop is developed by our physician and spiritual teacher Jivasu, who is here with us. His work focuses on the biopsychological architecture of what he calls the natural self. This led him to build a framework titled Naturality, as I just mentioned, which explores the scientific basis of energy, consciousness, complete health, and spiritual experiences. Jivasu has extensively studied the interactions of biomedicine, neuroscience, acupuncture, meditation, and a variety of ancient wisdom traditions, including Kundalini, chakras, and Nada Yoga. You know what is Nada Yoga? Is yoga of sound and music. He is able to synthesize a vast array of insights, that are a couple of which I just mentioned, into an easily digestible, modern vernacular that addresses how to accelerate human evolution and growth. And Jivasu is trained, he has a diploma from the Harvard Medical School. He is trained in acupuncture, in spirituality, in mind body medicine. And as I mentioned to you once in one of the programs, that I first met him in All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Rishikesh, where he came to give a workshop. And since then, we've been bringing him, inviting him to this program, and we've got really good feedbacks. The feedbacks, Jivasuji, has been really global since morning, and in fact since yesterday after Tanush Dada's talk on the role of yoga and meditation on glaucoma. I've been hearing people inquiring about your workshop. And I've had new subscribers. We had followers joining from Ukraine, people writing from Australia. Well, whether this would be online or with the recordings be available, because the Australians and the Kiwis are going to be sleeping soon. So this time is something a little bit difficult for them to catch up. But it's good for the Europeans, good for the Middle East, for the United States and the Canadians who are waking up. And I will just briefly tell you the 5 days, how the 5 days are going to look at. So the day one, which is today, a Monday, Jivasu is going to take us to a journey of building a health identity and to find a place in the world and how to succeed. Tomorrow, that is Tuesday, we'll be discussing and he will be telling us knowing our personality, planning of healthy lifestyle for healing and happiness. Day three, which is a Wednesday, he will be discussing and telling us about integrative intelligence, which will basically constitute discovering our destiny and purpose in life. If you remember, you might have heard me and others speak about dichotomy between purpose and goal of life. So I think there will be some resolution. Day four, which is the Thursday, he will be sharing with us the same time frame as I mentioned. Please don't forget universal intelligence. And in that, he will tell us the experience of love, peace, and bliss. And the final day, which is a Friday, day five, he will be telling us about non dual, or what I just mentioned, peak intelligence. So this entity is there, and presumably it is possible to achieve that state. And on that day, he will be talking to us about living with peak health and spirituality. So, welcome viewers, and most importantly, welcome Jivasuji to this program. We are very indebted to you that you just come with a request, you just nod. And this particular workshop is, we're really looking forward. A lot of people have joined us, and I myself look forward to learning from you. You have 20-25 minutes today. I spent a bit more than what is allotted to myself because it's the first day and I wanted to give everybody an introduction and to inspire them to stay connected so that they can go in a linear fashion, progress both in spiritual life as well as understanding the scientific basis of, as you yourself call, biopsychological dynamics. So after 20-25 minutes, we can take a few questions. So the viewers are requested to please type their questions now or any time from now till Jivasu ends his talk, and I will try to put them to him, to take your questions to him, and so we can learn more from the questions. Over to you, Jivasuji, and I'll switch off my video camera, and you're all here, and we're all here with our ears and eyes. Welcome.
Thank you, Akshay. And Sahajaste. Sahajaste is a new greeting on behalf of naturality, a new system about which I'm going to talk. And Sahajaste means natural in me affirms natural in you. You may be religious, you may not be religious, you may be theist, you may be atheist, you may be believer, you may be non-believer. It doesn't matter because all of us are created by nature. And that energy and potentiality of nature is within us. That life force. And what nature wants us to do, express it fully. Just like flowers and the birds, a butterfly or a deer, all elements of nature, nature wants, nature demands that we express that life force totally in this world. Because unless we do that, we will remain unfulfilled. So that is why the greeting Sahajaste, natural in me affirms natural in you. Second thing, I would like to recite, sing few lines in Sanskrit, because somebody may question, listen, I'm going to live according to my nature, and my nature is to hurt others, to kill others, to dominate others, to destroy others. Am I allowed to do that? Absolutely not. That is not possible, because a lot of us are living together. So not only we have to respect our nature, we have to respect other people's nature. So that is why I think it was 2 years ago, a very popular guru from India wrote an article in newspaper, and he said he's not concerned about the morality aspect, ethical aspect, as much as about consciousness. Because if consciousness is raised, ethics and morals will follow. I don't think it is true. Because to raise the consciousness is a long term process. Transformation doesn't happen easily, but at least in any society where we are living as community, we can implement, we can expect certain moral and ethical behavior. If that doesn't happen, society will be in chaos and there won't be any rising of consciousness. That is why these few lines I will sing for you and tell the meaning. धर्म देहम धर्म मानस धर्म बुद्धि आत्मा धर्म प्रियजन धर्म सर्वजन धर्म देश धर्मे धरा धर्म ने हम धर्म एकम धर्म ही गतिशीलता धर्म जीवन धर्म चेतन धर्म ही आनंद परम सहजम अस्ति 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 ही. Dharma is a word which is repeating, and dharma means that it has many meanings, but here the meaning is a right care. Right care of my body, feelings, thoughts, and soul. Right care of my family, community, country, and earth. Let this right care come from a sense of oneness and love and movement, so I don't become stagnant. And let this right care bring me the bliss of conscious existence. I affirm this, I affirm this, I affirm this in my naturalness. That has to be foundation of any enterprise, any search, any seeking. With that, the next question comes, why naturality? Because naturality is a system which I teach. It is a whole system, because I think you are hearing, listening, reading, seeing a huge variety of theories, philosophies, practices, yoga, meditation, breathwork. But what you are getting, the bits and pieces, which are wonderful also. because they benefit in stress and anxiety, in sleep, reducing your blood pressure, regulating your emotions. But if you really want to proceed in life with a clear map, you need a system. The system which is not dependent on particular person or group of people, because individuals and groups can be corrupted, but once you follow the system has its own purity and beauty. In the beginning it will guide you, and then through this system you will discover your own system, because that is what nature and life gave us: inner guru, inner system, inner meditation, inner yoga, insights. And ultimately, that is what is the most important: inner GPS, guru positioning system, which will guide us. So, bits and pieces, when you get the knowledge and practices, they help, but they don't take us too far. So, what I'm going to present you is system which can be easily customized, aligned with your own nature. And that is why this system later on can be discarded. Just like scaffolding in building a house. Scaffolding helps us to frame the house, but later on, when house is almost complete, you discard scaffolding. And also this system is multi-layered, multi-level, because all of us are not at the same stage of growth, evolution, insights, wholeness, knowledge. So we need a system which is not one size fits all. So some of us may be utsuk. Utsuk means enthusiastic. I want to know. Lot of energy, enthusiasm, but we want to do only window shopping. Drive through pickup. Perfectly okay. But some other person may be Jigyasu, means curious. Now wants to know a little more. So enters into the shop, into the store, and want to know more. Third person may be mumukshu, explorer. So enthusiasm, yes. Curious, yes. But I want to go in depth. That is what called mumukshu. And the final one is samarpit, total plunge into it. So any system must respond to all this. Second, this system must not differentiate, must not separate spirituality from non-spiritual. Ultimately, it is single movement of life. There are no divisions. Our mind creates divisions. So this wonderful world of senses, of success, of sweetness and bitterness, of joy and sorrow is very much part of that ultimate truth which we call non-dual or peak intelligence. There is no separation. It is single movement. So any system, if trying to separate it, will fragment the reality. Then it will demand, okay, you do this, 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 this. Only then you can enter into it. A system should be such that wherever you are becomes the door. No need to change any dramatic thing. So you may be a celibate, you may be householder, you may be a business person, you may be medical doctor, you may be seeker, it doesn't matter. And other thing is, this system also must be scientific, because whatever happens to us, whether we are with ordinary mind, thoughts and emotions, or we are with soul, or we are experiencing higher reaches of awareness and ultimately the consciousness, it is reflected in our body. Only through our mind and body we perceive the world, and we perceive that other part which is not visible to us. So whole idea is that it could be also logically explained as much as we can do. And that is very important to the contemporary mind, because our young generation is seeped into scientific education. We cannot ask them to believe, to accept anything on faith. So as I will proceed, you will see it is not very difficult to connect to our brain and body. Of course, some of it is going to be philosophy of science, because still science is in very early stages. It cannot explain all phenomena. And there is a phenomena which can never be explained by science, which we call unknowable, which is beyond mind and so beyond the laws of the science. But below that, whatever we can, there may be evidence, or sometimes even if there is no evidence, we can create a hypothesis. And that is very much the part of philosophy of science, that yes, there are some evidence, and on the basis of evidence, we are explaining. So suppose I am experiencing bliss. Yes, bliss can very much explain why it happens. And throughout, I will be talking about it. So our approach will be biological, means scientific, psychological, and spiritual. Three dimensions, because all of us have different approaches, and that we must respond. So I wanted to lay down the foundation, and just to make you cautious that I'm only introducing the system in nutshell, because in half an hour for 5 days it is an impossibility. So if later on you are interested, please write to me. I can send you more information. If you want to join further seeking, that will be available under the title of naturality. Now the question comes, from where to start? If you see other system of spirituality, they talk about going beyond ego. My emphasis is, if I don't have a healthy ego or identity, how I will go beyond it? 2000 years ago, 3000 years ago, when these philosophies were articulated and written and expressed, it was very easy to have a healthy ego or identity because of family, joint family, community, village, town, cities. A child was growing with these firewalls of protection. But that is completely changed. Why? Because world is changing too fast, very fast, and also it is so interconnected. So in India, after 1990s, there is a problem of identity, healthy ego. Why that is there? Because with the coming of internet, cell phone, computers, there is a huge generation gap between parents and the children, which was there before, but it was small. And parents were the family were the main givers of identity. Identity means who I am in the world, my reference point. So my name, my last name, my religion, my family background, my education, my political leaning, my religion, all kinds of things. This is like my Aadhaar card. It is my SIN, social insurance number. So just like with Aadhaar card or social insurance number, wherever you go, people will recognize. So you go to the bank, you can open an account. Your income tax will be filed. You will get all the benefits. Same thing is this identity or ego or sense of I, which is my reference point in the world. And if I don't have this healthy sense of ego or identity, I will be lost. So I will go to someone and he will ask, tell me from where you are coming, where you belong to, what is your education, what you are capable. So this identity or healthy ego is the beginning. It gives me my place, my home in the world. So I can earn my livelihood. I can get married. I can create relationship. I can succeed. I get status. I get prestige. Because unless I achieve this, I will long for it. I have seen many people who try to bypass it, and some people can. A Ramakrishna Paramhans, a Swami Vivekanand, a Raman Maharshi, a Jesus. All those people can bypass because they are born with a rock solid sense of identity. But for 99.99%, first and most important thing is to build a healthy identity, to find a home in the world, to feel at ease wherever they go because they know who they are from worldly point of view. Who am I, which is secondary, a higher one will come later. But how you can say that, yes, I have a healthy identity? Well, there are 5 features. The first feature is self-care. People will healthy identity, they care for themselves, their food, their sleep, their clothing, their hygiene, their exercise. But that is not enough because then comes care of others. So, loving myself, to be compassionate about myself, and to be compassionate about others. Self care, care of others. Third feature is trust. If I don't have a friend, a relative to whom I can trust, I will be very paranoid. All of us go through pain, sorrow, loneliness, losses, tragedies. And I need someone. So I will hold the hand and ask, listen, I have problem. Can you help me? And we have to have trust. So that is the feature of healthy identity. Self-care, care of others, trust. And the fourth one is boundaries. Boundaries are physical and they are psychological. They are emotional. Because I cannot allow anybody to intrude in my physical boundary, in my home, come very close to me. I will say no, stay few feet away. I want to talk to you. That is physical boundary. People, when they come very close, we feel anxious. We are restricted. We are constricted. Same thing about emotional boundaries, psychological boundaries. I don't want people to just intrude in my emotional boundaries. I know the people to whom I want to stay in touch, in contact, converse, not all people. So some other one to whom I don't want and giving me a repetitive phone call, trying to follow me, it will be very uncomfortable. So that is why in a healthy identity, I have to define my boundary because I have limited energy, both physical and psychological. I cannot treat all people as the same. There is a priority list. And how I decide priority list on the basis of my boundary. That is why people who lose boundary because of mental health problem, they suffer from exhaustion, exploitation, manipulation. They become victim. And the last feature of identity is quest, because it is the fundamental nature of all entities which are around us in our universe that they have some surplus energy. So, what is the definition of balance? Balance means when I'm living with ease, but also I have surplus energy to explore further. So, if you really look into the first cell which was born on this earth, and from that first cell to us human being, why this evolution happened? Because that cell was in balance, but that cell also had surplus energy, so it multiplied. It united, created plants, animals, and ultimately human beings. So that is the sign of healthy identity, that we are not satisfied only with what we have. We are exploring, we become explorer. Those are the 5 features. I will repeat again. Self-care, care of others, which is called compassion towards myself and others, trust, boundaries, and quest, search, seeking, movement. But the question is how to achieve this identity, healthy identity. We have only mind and body with us. We may have glimpses of some higher consciousness, but our primary makeup is this mind and body. So there are 3 components through which we can achieve healthy identity. Number 1 is body. How we are going to get self-esteem through this identity in the world. So we want to make this body efficient. So we are confident about it. So other people will appreciate. So for that, what we do? Games, sports, yoga, Tai Chi, running, sailing. Why we encourage people to do that? So they will develop confidence in the body. Once we have confidence, then we can achieve self-esteem to feel good about ourselves. It becomes the part of my identity. A healthy, flexible, efficient body. After body comes emotions. Now, how healthy identity can be built with emotion. Emotions mean when I'm in touch with my emotion, I'm acknowledging my emotions, I'm expressing my emotion, and simultaneously I'm aware about other people's emotions. That is the movement towards emotional intelligence, because then I create relationship with myself and relationship with others. Then I can receive love, I can give love. That is the whole idea of emotional development. That is what we teach our children and those adults who are suffering from lot of mental trauma. And the final one is the intellect. Intellect, thinking mind. Why we study subjects, why we get diplomas and degrees, because we want to be intellectually efficient, to master language, math, science, biology, botany. medicine, engineering, astrology, yoga, Vedanta. That is intellectual. So, at the level of the body, at the level of emotions, and at the level of intellect, once we use them, once we develop proficiency, some mastery, we will get self-esteem from outer world. People will appreciate. And that is where we succeed in the world. So healthy identity is key to our success in the world, because that success is very important for 99.99% people. Otherwise, we will be feeling jealous. We will be feeling a sense of lagging behind. Because once we put this identity through all these means, through our family, through our religion, through our philosophy, through our society, culture, and body, and emotions, and mind, we are on a good ground. Now we are ready to embark on a very long journey to find ourselves, to express ourselves, to reach to the very peak of our intelligence with complete fulfillment, to celebrate life, to dance with the life. Life is not coping, life is not living according to pattern. The whole universe perpetually dances. It is in movement, and we have to dance with it. And that starts with a healthy identity, healthy sense of I-ness. So we cannot be victimized. We stand on our ground. So we start in naturality with that foundation. So I will stop here, and if there are any questions, we'll be very happy to respond.
Now we know why you chose the first part one of the series of this workshop as health identity. It's
Right.
so deep and meaningful, logical for us to flower ourselves to further go into this journey of celebration. But first, we need to have a really good health identity. Uh,
That's
Lots of people joined, and I'll start taking questions rather than myself asking. And the question, I think a person has a combination of systems. In one circumstance, the person is enthusiastic, and in another, he is ignorant. Please comment.
uh, so person is enthusiastic, and in other circumstances, person is ignorant. Yes, it is, because we are born with a different personalities, about which I'm going to explore how to discover your unique personality. Because what happens, expectation of family and culture is to maintain status quo. No culture wants individuals. Why? Because individuals revolt, they rebel. That is why society and family always say, listen, follow the pattern of the family, traditions, our custom, which is wonderful, but that is not enough. So once we are conditioned with our background, that is the state of ignorance. But the moment we break that tradition, not physically, psychologically, because whole drama of life is not played in physical world. It is played in my mind. My mind is not my mind. I borrowed it as a healthy identity from my background. So somebody asked me, what is the definition of meditation? Meditation is the rebellion, a total rebellion against my own mind, where voices of the past sit and they don't want me to explore further.
So, you mean the reason why one is energetic at some times and is feeling low at other times is because of the binding to or the regiment. We are bound
Exactly.
to the culture, the family, the systems, and so
Exactly.
psychologically not so free.
That's right. Because once I become free, this life force within me is expressing itself. It is called Kundalini Yoga in tradition. Because that life force is available to all, but it's tied down, it is suppressed. So we don't feel that enthusiasm, passion, passion, that exuberance.
And to the person who asked this question, Jivasu just said that this is going to be followed up by know your personality in
Yes.
tomorrow part two. So a lot
Mhm.
of this will be revealed in
Yes.
Jivasu's talk in knowing about your personality. But what a coincidence! There's another question, and for the information of viewers, a lot of programs such as this, and also on TV, you may know or you may not know, run around pre-made questions, and sometimes the questioner, the host, or the guest know the questions in advance. In our program, we are not regimented by such, uh, we are not bound by such a requirement. We are spontaneously taking questions, as you can all read them on the Facebook,
Yeah.
and we are putting it to Jivasu and whoever comes here. And
That's right. Yeah.
uh, and
Yeah, because you can ask question about sex and money and success and wealth and greed, whatever comes to your mind, any personal question, any impersonal question. So
great.
just totally feel wild about questions.
Thank you for qualifying my statement. But why I said it now was because after this question of why you are productive sometimes and not productive on the other, and you said this is a born out of psychological binding. And here's another question which confronts the same question in another way. So therefore, I put that out. It looks quite coincidentally contrasting. The question from Rita Isaac is, how does the odd circumstances, or she says planetary influence, and she says cosmic connections, that deter one's life to flourish to its fullest, and how does it affect the true potential of spiritual growth that
That's right.
comes to existence?
Yeah.
So beyond psychological, this is a question of another to a new level.
That's right. Uh, it is indeed still psychological. The reason being we have individual mind and we have cosmic mind. So if you really look into the influence of the planets, galaxies, solar system on us, actually that is the part of mind that is actually very much material also. Because I will explore it further, in future session. Because what we call is spiritual is pure consciousness. But all this will influence us. But the beauty is that once we are aligned according to our nature, we are basically burning flame inside. So these influences will affect us, but they can never affect so much that we will be taken completely away from our path. They can only influence us negative because we are not clear about ourselves. That flame of our nature we are not aware of. Once you are established in your own nature, all these influences, negative and positive, will be integrated. They won't take you away because you will take their energy, whether negative or positive. And this is described in many systems again, because half of the universe is negative and half of the universe is positive. In Gita, in Krishna, Virat Surup, half is ferocious, half is compassionate. We integrate it all. Yes, there will be minor problems, but it can never deter us from our path. But if we don't know about our nature, yes, we will become sick, we will have all kinds of problems. I agree.
So another of our viewer, Rima Dada, uh, is trying to find another, is probably trying to expand your mention of Kundalini. So
Mhm.
from psychological to the cosmic, and you said this is another manifestation of psychology itself. And now
That
she asks, is Kundalini is believed to be the most potent form of yoga. Can we awaken it without a master, or we need continuous guidance?
um, most Kundalini awakening they happen without the guidance of any guru. I will tell you few Kundalini master: Gopi Krishna, J. Krishnamurti, UG Krishnamurti. They were all the masters of Kundalini. Of course, they expressed it differently. Kundalini was already awakened in them. But later on, teacher helped them to identify, to become conscious of it, and give them some tips how to deal with it. But some of the great Kundalini masters, there was nobody. So, number one, Kundalini is not dependent on guru or master, but many gurus would like to say that because those gurus are not mature enough. They want power on us. They have a vested interest. But of course, during Kundalini awakening, there comes a period of crisis, dark night of soul. In those moments, if there is a person around, we can take the help. There is no doubt about it. But it is not dependent on anybody. My own Kundalini awakening when I was staying in Shivananda Ashram between 1983 and 1988, it was a spontaneous awakening. Even the teachers couldn't tell me what to do. I followed it, and after 12 years, it finally expressed itself into its fullness. So it's a very personal experience. I'm not talking here about philosophy.
But she asks that, follows up to ask if Kundalini is not awakened for most of us, are we functioning at a suboptimal level?
Because Kundalini awakening is just one of the paths. Because there are path of Raj Yoga, Patanjali, there is a path of Hatha Yoga, there is a path of Vedanta, there is a path of Bhakti, there is a path of Buddhism, there is a path of Taoism. Kundalini is a direct path, but that doesn't mean that we are functioning suboptimally if we are taking other paths. But from Kundalini point of view, yes, most of us are not functioning to our full ability, because if we are functioning to full ability, we will feel fulfilled. But that fulfillment can come from many paths, but Kundalini is one of the paths, a very direct path of energy.
Excellent. And you have inspired one of the viewers to share the other comment about his or her experience. I do not know, it's his or her April Furana, probably. So, thank you. My self care has been somewhat limited lately, and I feel everything around me become more somewhat chaotic. But when I do take the time to take care of me, in my sense, that it seems everything revolves around this, and everything seems better. I have now started to set up an intention before I go to sleep so that I wake up in the more relaxed state and try to continue repeating that through the day. In the
Right.
opposite sense, when I do not do this and feel more anxious by experience, it reflects the state of my mind. Thank you again.
Right. That's right. Because once the sadhana, spiritual effort is internalized, our work is done. I will be cooking, I will be cleaning, I will be earning money, I will be taking care of children, I will be entertaining relatives. But when sadhana becomes internal, it goes on 24 hours, including in my dreams and sleep. That is why yoga of sleep and dream was created. So April is doing the right thing, just putting intention, and hopefully one day it will be totally internalized.
Excellent. And maybe we could experiment with that and try to do it on ourselves.
Yes, because we can meditate in the night. There is a technique for that. How to take meditation into my my dreams and into my deep sleep.
Very nice. So that's there, and others are asking, they're enjoying some very good comments that they enjoyed the good talk. Oh, there's one question that I missed in Hindi. पूर्व जन्म का इस समय के गुण दोषों पर क्या प्रभाव है? Which means that the birth. Would you can explain that
Right.
question itself? Thanks.
So should I answer in Hindi or English?
Uh, well, we have international people, so let's stick
Okay,
to English.
right.
Would
Our
Yeah, maybe you can explain the question. पूर्व जन्म का इस जन्म के गुण दोषों पर क्या प्रभाव है?
Yeah, what is the effect of our past lives on our personality, the qualities and the problems?
Correct.
Uh, well, so many people don't believe in past lives, but I not only believe, I was able to explore few past lives of my own because I had many gun or dosh, quality and problems in my personality. Because our personality is formed by parents' genetics, from environment, epigenetics, and from the past lives. Because our story, from this point of view, rebirth and reincarnation is a long story. And we continue with it. And that story is expressing itself, what is called prarabdha karma, a karma which is going to materialize. So, whosoever I am is a combination of genetics, means genes I got from my parents. Epigenetics means influence of my environment and ancestors. And number three factor is my past lives. Very definitely, it has implication about my present life. Because I'm Triveni, made up of three streams. This river of mine in the present has three streams. Absolutely.
Great. And there are comments of we also used to go to Shivananda ashram and were followers of Swami Krishnananda and Swami Chidanand.
That's correct. So yes, Swami Krishnananda and Swami Chidananji were there when I was there, and I was very close to Swami Krishnanji, a great philosopher, and of course Swami Chidananji. He was president of Divine Life Society, a true sage. So I had good luck to be with them for 5 years. Those were wonderful days.
Great. This kind of discussions for the viewers, and Jivasuji will agree, can go on and on. But
Yes,
as a host, I feel that I maybe correct me if I'm wrong. If we keep it concise, we have a take-home message, and also we can experiment on that. And then we have another session tomorrow on knowing your personality. So
that's
allow me to just put a last question for myself, and this may be a meaningful or a meaningless question. The question is, when you talk of health identity, is it
healthy identity.
healthy identity?
Yes.
Is it blunted or is it compromised in pandemics such as this? Those who are having a healthy identity, is it somehow blunted or dented such
Yes,
times?
it will be. The reason being that such a lockdown, such a restriction will create definitely problems because deep-seated anxiety, melancholy, all kind of disorder, which this healthy identity keep under into the subconscious are going to be manifested. It is happening all over the world because people were living more normally, more healthily, and they were going about their work, their daily world. But once they are confined, all those things underneath their coping mechanism with healthy identity provides is broken down. So we are seeing a lot of anxiety, lot of mild form of depression, sleep disorders, eating disorders manifesting.
Great. It was supposed to be the last question, but it's also very difficult to not take another last question that has just come up the spur of the moment.
Right.
The question is many times our natural self and the so called naturalness of our family and sometimes even children
Mhm.
contradict.
Mhm.
So it's a resolution seeking question. So what is the best way which can help in mutual understanding? And that's the last question, viewers. I
Yeah.
apologize.
So what that means, what they are trying to ask that my naturalness is contradicting with others' naturalness. That is what it is.
Yes,
It
for
is
and within the family, not
within
outside.
the family.
Yeah,
It is bound to be. If it is not contradicting, that means something is wrong. Because the beauty of nature, it makes us unique. No two grains of sand, no two leaves, no two snowflakes, no two butterflies, no two human beings can ever be the same. So, what happens in a family? We share some common values. So, harmony will be maintained. But other part, we allow those family members to explore on their own. It is just like many circles and they are overlapping the part of it, but other part of the circle is free. When we want to put all members in the same boundaries and ask them to follow the same pattern, we are going to do tremendous damage and harm.
quite correct.
Because each family member is like a flower, unique flower of different color, of different perfume, has to bloom, has to blossom. And quite often, parents, they forget about it.
So the second part of the question was, what is the best way which can help in mutual understanding?
Mutual understanding is, I will talk about it tomorrow, how to recognize each other's personality and allow them to follow that personality of their own. In my own family, I have two children, entirely different. We were sharing few things common, other parts we said follow. My wife, we are entirely two different entities, opposite. But we are following our own path exclusively, but we are sharing something common. Rather than I'm trying to impose my way of life on them. This is the right way. And that is very dangerous. So, what I call is smothering in love or killing by my love. That is what happens to a lot of parents. They basically kill psychologically their own children. Not only ordinary level, at the very top level. If you really look at the top actor in our film industry and top politician in political, some of their children, they didn't go anywhere. Why? Because their parents were so powerful, they asked them to follow their path. And the result is they didn't succeed. Of course, they are rich.
Maybe they also harm themselves and their own creativity.
Exactly. They will do. And I will explore it, tomorrow and day
Tomorrow.
after tomorrow and
Great.
day after tomorrow also.
And finally, before we close, what is the Kundalini for a layman?
Kundalini for layman is that this life force in us is given to us by nature, divine, sacred, whatever you call. And that life force goes dormant. It doesn't express itself because of the cultural conditioning, because we have to follow the external pattern. So this life energy is dormant. So we don't function fully. We don't live in this world with excitement and thrill and with passion and with creativity and with fulfillment.
And that needs to be disinhibited, which is Kundalini.
That's right. Because Kundalini, this energy is dormant. It is inhibited in us.
So thank you very much, Jivasuji. It was a great part one of our 5-day workshop. So viewers, do join us tomorrow. Is going to be on knowing your personality, knowing our personality, planning of healthy lifestyle for healing and happiness. So same time, 1800 hours for Indian Standard Time for Indian viewers or the Indian subcontinent viewers, and about 8:30 a.m. for the people in the North America. Thank you very much, Jivasuji.
Thank
Namaskar
you,
from all.
Sahajaste. Natural in me affirms natural in all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.